Welcome to our podcast from the ground up, where we interview startup founders exploring their journeys, their success, challenges, and lessons learned. We hope you be inspired in discovering what it takes to build a thriving startup. IPS is revolutionizing engineering and digital transformation in sectors like oil, gas, chemicals, power, all with artificial intelligence. Today, we'll explore how they're benefiting plant owners, operators of large engineering firms, and the latter, and digitizing the engineering process, saving organizations vast amounts of time and money. With Daniel Zhang has over 30 years of experience in his career, and with a wealth of experience cultivating from working at Dow Corning, and in Asia Pacific, and his tenure with top-tier engineering firms has honed his experience in capital projects, operational excellence, and industry insights. Since founding IPS, Daniel has been a leader and innovator in digital transformation for the process industry, leading the changes of data transformation with AI, and has helped multiple large global clients in their digital transformation journey. So Daniel, before we dive into your company and get all the details there, where are you joining us from today?
Yeah, actually, I'm calling from Vancouver, Canada. Actually, it turns to a very bright day today. Vancouver typically is a raining winter, but it's a good day to connect and talk.
Great. Are you from there originally?
No, actually, I'm actually born in China. I grew up in China and I went university there. And about 25 years ago, I came to Canada. I did my master here and I stayed on and went to different consulting company. Then I went back to Asia for continue working there for 10 years.
Great. So, this show is really about the entrepreneurial experience and going behind the scenes of what it's like to build the company. But you had a lot of experience on the corporate side. During your upbringing, what helped shape you with the mindset of one day wanting to be an entrepreneur?
Actually, quite interesting because, I was born in Xinjiang, far west-east region of China. Actually, my parents, almost like an immigrant to that region, they actually built the first railway to that region almost like 60 years ago. So they were kind of pioneer going to that region. My dad told me when they went to the city at the first couple of months, there's no place to stay. So they were actually literally stay in the camp on tent for almost a year. So they were like their 20s. They left their family. They went there, they stayed for 30 years all their career. So it's kind of interesting. My dad always said, we had nothing. We just went there, built the first railway in the desert almost. I think that's a little bit adventurous. So we grew up very independently. And I actually had a company when I was 20 years old, when I just graduated from school. I actually started a company with my high school classmate. We were actually brought the Siemens first heat pump to the China. We sold it. We actually, in 2 years, grew a company from 2 of us to almost 25 people. And that's in 1993 to 1995. That's almost the first money I made. And I thought, okay, that time, looking for the Western management and how basically that's the reason I came to Canada and to looking at to learn, grew up here, to learn how things running in the Western world. That's obviously a long time ago.
Yeah, that's great. What was the product you started again with?
Actually, at that time, the heat meters, basically in northern China is all wintertime. They have huge heat supply system. And basically people, that time, the government is charging people per square meter, the winter, right? You per square meter, basically, there's no measurement. And the Siemens had a heat measurement device, which they can actually meter. It's a meter to actually measure how much heat supplied for individual companies or families, so they can have a measurement to charge how much. It's like a charge your water, but the way they measure is heat. That's pretty new technology for China. And we were the first small company actually brought that into the region because this winter is very cold. And it was quite interesting because obviously that time, China still, if you are, a university student and you can speak English, that's pretty much you can have a connection with foreign companies actually being able to do it. Now, obviously, things been changed a lot.
Yeah, no doubt. That's great. So heat measurement makes it interesting. So great. So that was kind of your real first entry into being an entrepreneur, which is at a young age, is really, I think, a good time to take those risks and take those chances.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about the company that you started here. You worked for Dow and you worked in corporate America for a while. What was it that you saw? What inspired you to leave that to start your current company today?
Actually, there's two things. One thing is, you see, whole my career is in large corporate. After my first small company, I moved here, so I start working mostly for a large corporate. And as my role and responsibility grow, I at one time managed quite a lot of capital investment in Asia Pacific, building different factories. And one thing I always feel, there are just so much waste in the work we have done. We always repetitively use the engineering information to build a new plant, to be expanding it. That's one thing. And another thing is actually we have invested so much in the past, and some of the plant we built never operate. It's not because technically they are not correct, actually because when they build, the actual market is gone. How we can more efficiently invest building engineering much more efficiently and also improving efficiency in operation is critical. The time, as the industry move forward, in the past, in the old time, you 10 years to build factories, okay, because market response is slow. But now require you actually building in 3 years. Otherwise, your competitor will take the market, right? That actually is the drive. I always see what we can do for the industry. And actually, one the event is when I watched that documentary about AlphaGo, that the change the machine beat the people to play the Go game. I was looking at that, say this is just the same thinking behind how we do engineering. What we can do actually to use that technology. Basically, actually, 5 years ago, I was more looking at the generative design space from engineering. But obviously, companies take a different tool now, a direction now, looking from the data extraction, data structuring, and then digital work process. But I think ultimately, we're still looking at the end of the day with the data we have to move into the generative design as well.
So when we talk about engineering in your case, for a lot of the guests that have been on the show, they're building software applications and they're driving, solutions around AI and companies that are using their technologies. When we talk about engineering with your company, you're using software technology, but your customers actually have physical plants, correct? Yep. And piping and joins and different components as they build a manufacturing plant or any type of plant or processor. There's a lot of decisions that have to be made, and there's a lot of ways that you could help streamline the process, maybe save them time, save them money through AI and technology that you're building. Is that correct?
That's correct. There are many different ways of looking at how the physical side being managed, operate, right? Mm-hmm. One of the key components of being efficiently operate a plant, a refinery or chemical plant or food plant even, right, is looking at information, right? How people can be efficiently find information, exchange information, create new information. Everything is about engineering data. There are lots of companies focusing on operational data. Operational data is like IoT, right? Those are operational data. But a large amount of data actually is related to the engineering data. So we're focused really looking at the engineering data. Actually, when we start 5 years ago, it's very niche. Not so many companies looking at. You will see hundreds of IoT companies, hundreds of data analytical companies looking at the maintenance data from an analytical way. We're looking at engineering. No one touch it. Because I know in my old plant I was managing, there are millions of pages of engineering data on the PDF, on the Excel, on the Word document. People still scratching on the Word document, even to find the data, takes them hours. So that's where I was looking at, say, okay, how we can just take that chunk to start with, right? I was looking at Microsoft, the way of they looking at using AI to improve the efficiency of an organization. There are three parts of that. One first thing is I call it foundational productivity. Those are things the day-to-day people, how many people are working, trying to find things, trying to exchange data, compare things. The second part is transforming. That is where you're looking at digital work process. The really the last stage is the generative, which we're going to move as well, is where you're actually looking at to generate the thinking process, how you design all that. So there are different pieces of that transformation. Even just to get foundational right is a huge need in the market. As more and more companies start building digital twins, our client came to us that they want to build a digital twin, beautiful 3D model, empty. There's nothing in there because there are millions of pages document. They want to get information out, and the structure that the casing is structured because this industry is very famous on variations, non-standard inconsistency. How to solve that as a foundational work is important. I think we address that. But we certainly now is moving into, we call it iWorkflow, which is digital work process to looking at how data exchanged, how data integrated, how data actually, when you structure it. And that actually paved the way to the next stage of our generative. Because you don't have structured data, how machines learn to generate, right? Yeah. So I think that's we call the roadmap for the future.
What's a digital twin?
Digital twin basically is think about it as a twin, right? So you have a physical asset, like a building, a factory sitting there as the real. Then you build a twin, which in a computer environment, which is a 3D environment. Everything is a mirror of the physical asset. But difference is the physical asset has, let's say they have oil, they have chemical running it. A digital twin has data running it. Right. The critical thing is a beautiful picture, but without data, then you cannot really do much about it. It's just a good picture, right? So data is the foundation of the digital twin.
So you could take a factory that's operating and create a digital twin, put in all the data you've been gathering from how that's operating, and be able to utilize AI that's going to tell you how to more efficiently operate that factory, or maybe make changes to it that's going to increase productivity. Is that kind of the benefits you're providing to companies?
Yeah, there are multiple benefits in the digital twin. The first foundational is the centralized data, which people can easily find them looking at them. Because they think about a large factory, the amount of data is significantly high. To be efficiently using it and avoiding especially oil and gas chemical industry, safety is very important. If you got the data wrong, if you have a conflict of data, is the risk for the operation, right? So that's the way to do it. And then you can look at the data because factory will never, none of the factory will build once and stay like that. They always keep upgrading, changing, maintenance. There are lots of data on the day-to-day side for engineering maintenance work. That's where we're looking at how we can efficiently using data. Even just to get the data efficiently into the digital twin is a huge challenge for the most organization. Actually, we just did a survey to looking at digital transformation, especially we call it digital asset or digital twin initiative. The first thing their challenge is how I can get the data from the millions of documents. The second thing actually is extremely costly for them to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So how we can reduce that cost to actually, we call us enabler, to enable them in to get the first step as the strengths we have built over the years, as the market's been all phenomenal. Just as actually COVID has really pushed that for a company to understand they have to have remote access. The digital twin is the way for them to have to work at any place, any location, to be able to monitor, looking at, even control the physical asset.
That's great. You hear of these companies building AI, but some of it is they're building it hoping to find their target audience. You've got the target audience. You've got real companies that have been operating for years, but then the transformation of taking the data, pulling it into an AI model that then you can show how it's going to help them be a better company or operate better is, I think, that's the goal of most companies. So I think what you're creating is incredible. Just a side story, when I came out of college, I wanted to go travel, and I had friends that traveled the world for a year at a time after working for the summer, and they'd come back. And I asked them, they came out of UCLA. I said, what are you doing to make money? Because I've got no money coming out of college. I want to go travel. And so they said, you go work for this company in California where you haul tomatoes and you go up and down the highway all day long, and you drive an 18-wheeler truck, and it's 80,000 pounds of tomatoes, and you live on a tomato plant, and you don't spend any money. You do that for 3 months, you make $15,000. This is
Wow.
when long time ago.
Right.
And so I did it, and I went and surfed Central America for a year, came back, and went around the world, came back. It was all from that company, but it was a tomato plant, and that tomato plant was built by 8 growers of tomatoes, but they'd never built a plant before. And it was one leader in that group that said, we'll build this as a collective. And then he went after they built that about 5 years later, and he built another plant on his own, but he took all the learnings that he did in the first plant of what worked and what didn't work, and he became a very wealthy man. He turned that into a $700 million company. And they produce more tomato sauce than Italy today, based out of California.
Okay.
But the interesting part about that is that he actually would walk the plant, and he was very manual. So he understood every single component of that factory with the data that it took, and then to take that and to improve it. He was way ahead of his time then, but I could see how if you have all this data and you don't know how to improve your operation, but now you've got AI, or you've got a technology company like yours that could bring that to the owners or to someone else who wants to build something similar, you've got data that's very valuable that can help optimize your operation and, quite frankly, just make you more efficient and more profitable. So those are the things that I think are really interesting about what you're creating. And I know I'm not hitting everything that you're doing for these companies. Generative AI, I'm sure, is there, where people can punch in some questions and get answers to the data once they're in your platform with your systems. But the technology itself has come a long ways. How big of a team have you built to support these global companies, and are you a global company yourself?
Yeah, actually, it's quite because my personal experience. I've been traveling around, working at different locations globally, and especially my before I start company, I've been actually stationed in Asia. I lived in Shanghai, Tokyo for 10 years, managing very diverse team globally. So I actually start company as almost a global company from day one. So I'm very used to using different resources globally based on my past experience. The company at this point, we actually have 3 offices. Obviously our main office is based in Canada, but we have an office in India. That's basically our software development and support center. We actually have quite a large office in Cebu, Philippines. That's basically our engineering team. They do both define of the product, testing product, process end user. And also we actually also provide digital service based on our AI tool. AI wouldn't get you 100%. If anyone come to their customers say their AI is perfect 100%, something is not right. So we actually also provide a last mile service to our large clients globally. So in and out, I think including contract employee, we probably have 120 right now. We're going to open our Japan office in January, February time. We're in the process to open it with our large client in Japan. We partner with Mitsubishi in Japan. So our customer is also very global. We have North American, couple of large clients here, and we have large client in Europe, the couple biggest oil and gas and chemical company there. In Southeast Asia, we have a large state-owned company where we've been providing digital transformation for them. I just mentioned we partner with Mitsubishi. The Japan market is just started. I think we're gonna have the first 2 projects starting in January, and it's just everywhere we go, we just see the opportunities. We just see the company asking them those challenges they are facing today. Yeah, we're a global company from day one, and we will stay that. We'll grow. I think this is the time. Basically, everywhere digital transformation. I think it's just started.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you're global. You've got a lot of people working for the company. It sounds like a ton of demand for your service and for in general for the industry. What are some of the challenges you face today in the industry?
I think obviously for any company, talent is always the biggest challenge in reality. The company is scaling up, is growing, is scaling up. For sure, we need to build the processes, the systems to support the company to scale up. But at the end of the day, company needs to deliver a product and a service meet our customers' expectations, whether it's be efficiency, whether it's being productivity, whether it's being cost, whatever that is. To be able to deliver, you have to have the right people. To be able to expanding your team, not a number, but quality. Having the right leadership team to be aligned, whether it's value, vision, culture, and have the people who has the capability to communicate technically. They are capable, and also all the softer skills coming with nowadays communication. Especially our team is very global, right? It's a lot of remote collaboration. So I think, yes, at the end of the day is whether you get right people to move things and execute and deliver.
It's not always the leader that makes the company successful. It's the technology, but the technology is built by employees. So talent is absolutely imperative that you get it right. What do you do to make sure you filter through to get the right people for your company and your culture?
I think obviously there are traditional way. I think there are traditional way you have to look at from interview. You have to look at we do actually work with different HR consultant and companies to let them help, because company has grown so quick. We start in 2023, has 20 people now, 6 times bigger, right? Yeah. We have to grow internally, but we also have to rely on some of the partners to help us to grow, right, and to establish right process. And the second thing is, I think one of the key things for us to how we've been built leadership and the mid-level management team, which they have tremendous experience in hiring, maintain the organization, manage performance. I think that layer, for our organization, actually mid-level, for sure, your senior leadership, building things, visions, all the things, you need to get company into the direction. But middle level management team actually is critical for the company growth. I think that's our really focus. We're trying to bring the right people in. And also, this is challenge for any company. So as company like our size and our growth, right? I think there are also have a try and fail, right? And we have to get people come in. You do all the things you can do, looking at trying to filter out the best people. But other thing you have to find try and fail. I think we are more open to try and fail as well. Basically, I think that's critical. Right? Whether people are suitable for lots of people are great people. First of all, whether they're suitable for this type of environment, extremely fast paced, right? Lots of stress and challenge, and but also looking at the people who actually whether their skill set is fitting to the skill set. Again, we're a quite innovation company, right? So I think those things are critical.
That's great. Yeah. There's no silver bullet for every company. Every company is a little different. The cultures are different, their size and location. How do you differentiate IPS in the market from other competitors out there today?
I think one of the key thing is we start early on this journey as a few things. 5 years ago when I started company, actually in this field, actually you're looking around, you can't even find company doing what we do. Funny thing, I tell you a story. This is the real story. How I found my co-founder. Our co-founder, our CTO, he original from academic background. Used to be a professor from an Indian university. He moved in Canada, and he was teaching. And I connected with a friend. I told him what I want to do. He looked and says, "This should have lots of people thought about it." So what he did, because his academic background, he actually did the research to try to find the research on it. Only found 2 papers. Wow. Only 2 papers. So he was like, wow, this is interesting. No one has actually looked at this direction at all. So actually he hooked on it because of that. And, and also at the beginning he thought it would be easy. Then he started really trying to find there are a lot of different challenges with other, AI applied in other image recognition, other stuff. It's a very different domain. That actually bound us together, start a company together. So we are very early, and we developed certain technology today. We're still very much ahead of other companies, especially in the graphic. We're dealing with engineering drawings. Those are not cats and dogs, right? Cars on the road. They have complexity, not only recognize them and understand the relationship of those objectives, and also data around it. So we start early. We have, again, the years of fail and try and fail and, taking the new technology where we ahead of many of our competitors. So lots of our competitors stay at, I call it text level. We're more looking at graphic and relationship. That's where we're strong at.
How big of a market is this for you?
This market actually quite interesting too. When I started company, I was looking at from an engineering perspective. So I tell you what I did at the beginning. I add all the public data, looking at all the engineering work for oil and gas chemical, just for oil and gas chemical, not looking at even power, everything. The capital investment is about 200 billion a year. So that's actually quite big, right? And I said that time, actually 5 years ago, looking at digital twin market in oil and gas, they're talking about 40 billion a year. And I read the paper last week. You know what the number is? You're talking about a trillion.
Wow.
Yeah, trillion. So this is obviously the market has bloomed so much because the COVID as well. The digital twin concept has been around almost 15 years. And the 5 years I go to a client, lots of clients, even large client, first time heard about it. Now you go to a company, you don't need to talk about this thing. They know it. Actually, they know what their pinpoint. I tell them what's the solution. They're happy to see there is a solution. So that's how much things has changed in 5 years. And for sure, in the next 5 years, this will be even more, looking at, obviously because the ChatGPT and other new technology in the market now, right? So we're looking at also how we can utilize the latest, the greatest technology to improve us and providing more value to our customers.
How do you get your foot in the door with new customers?
Well, I think in a way I'm lucky because my experience in the past with a huge network of companies, a great company in the world, building. I do have a lot of personal relationship in that industry with deep understanding. And also, I think one of the thing is we speak the language industry can understand. When you go back to the company, tell them the challenge which I have experienced in my past experience, they can leak, right? They know what it is. They understand what it is. So I think that gave us a lot of opportunity. So when we start first try our products, actually one of the largest global engineering company actually waiting to try. And, since then, we obviously take a much quicker, expansion with that. I think I'm a little bit lucky in that way. I would say everyone has that luxury to be able to do it.
So are you founder-led in terms of getting your foot in the door and getting new clients, or is there like a marketing strategy that you felt really worked for you that you could share with the listeners?
I think we are I think we are in the process to transaction from a founder-led organization from a sales marketing to a real marketing-driven, sales-driven. As you heard, we actually most of our customers are large corporates, and we do actually continue to discovery. We call it night grade. Basically, we divide our market into different segments, which including owner-operating company, which is the owner of those refineries, chemical plants, and engineering companies. And actually, we see a new industry called digital transformation solution and service company. That's almost like most of our partners. We divide by size, and we're looking at it kind of like a heat map and understand the market now and say, okay, well, instead of everything is a key account management, actually we see a lot of, we call the mid-market. The mid-size oil and gas chemical companies actually move very fast on digital transformation. sometimes much faster than large organization. So that company, obviously, we don't have that many people to all have connections. We're actually moving into a more marketing-driven approach, and we see in the last 6 months, we see a peak of that. We really next year is really focusing how we can providing that and move into I call the general market, which is getting to the smaller mid-size engineering company. Then you see the markets globally, the engineering company to serve this industry close to 60,000 engineers.
Wow.
60,000. If you take a 50,000 sale to a company, that's a pretty good number.
Wow, that's great. That's really cool. Wow, that's impressive. I guess as you look into 2024, it sounds like you got a lot of demand. What's on the roadmap for IPS?
I think there are obviously scale up is the most priority we have. We have built products, and we're trying to basically really move into as I said, general market, into a platform type of company. We are selling as more SaaS to a large company right now, but we are trying to move into a general platform so small medium company can access and do it. That's one of the key change we want to achieve next year. The second thing, actually, we really need to continue to innovate, because the ChatGPT, the large language model, we already start some work this year. We see very significant improvement from our own technology. We're extremely happy to see the change this year and see how we can bring more value to our customers. And then on the a little bit further looking, we do want to start looking at generative design, basically because we have lots of data, structured data, right? That's the advantage we have, and we already start testing some of just from converting drawing to actually generating design.
So as a company, it looks like a lot of growth and utilizing AI even further. God, I can't wait to see how things go for you in the future here. I love to come get you back on the show or just hear the progress. I know there's a lot happening in Japan right now. I know we help companies grow and scale all over the world. So we're hearing trends. We're seeing hiring, at levels that you don't read about in the paper, but you're seeing it in the trenches of companies that are scaling up in, different parts of Europe and Asia. And we're excited to listen and see what else is happening with companies using AI.
Sure.
If companies wanted to find you or find your company, IPS, where would they go?
So I think we actually social media, we actually focus on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the professional industry type of market media, right? So I think they certainly can find us, and you can send me email if you're interested to do, right? I'm always happy to looking at the people, not only a customer, but more important, the AI community, because they are so the way I start company, actually, I'm not looking at engineering, I'm just looking at other industry, what they do with AI, and borrow the ideas to this industry and how we grow that. I think that's continuous journey. I just came back from Japan with a mission with Canadian government, trade mission to Japan. One of the things, we met lots of Japanese companies which already been working with, but the most interesting thing is actually that the team Canada, who has lots of other AI and companies doing different things in different industry, when you meet together, I was looking at what they do in finance, in auto industry. I'm looking at, we can use that in our field. I think that's the great thing. I think what you've been doing in this community to put AI company together to look at different AI in different industry, how we do things, I think is very valuable for the community. Actually, I would thank you for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's moving at such a fast pace. It's fascinating to hear in the trenches what people are doing and what value they're bringing to companies. Well, I want to thank you so much for jumping on here, Daniel. I know that there is a huge opportunity in front of you in the future. And for those that are listening that may have an interest in wanting to work for you at some point, where are you hiring? What type of roles are you hiring for? They might want to just reach out and connect with you directly.
Sure. Yes, please do. Yes, reach out on LinkedIn, just looking at intelligent product solutions. And then we're there. We actually have lots of opening next year. The company is growing significantly fast.
Great. Cool. Well, thanks for joining. Appreciate you, Daniel, coming on, and your courage for sharing your story. And for all the listeners listening, it means the world to me that you've chosen your time to spend with us. I'm your host, Jake Aaron Villarreal, and here with you today, but we'll be next week with you again on our next episode. Until then, enjoy and take care.
Thank you.
Before we wrap up, I want to give a big shout out to all the entrepreneurs that have joined to make this podcast possible. And for all the listeners for listening. It means the world to me that you chose to spend your time with us today. I'm your host, Jake Aaron Villarreal, signing off for now, but can't wait to connect with you all soon on the next episode. Take care. This show is sponsored by Match Relevant, a company that helps venture-backed startups find the best people in the market, and they do it in 3 simple steps. First, they sit down with founders to understand their story. Second, they tell their story into multiple candidate channels. And third, they schedule interviews within 48 hours. Find us at matchrelevant.com to learn more about how we do it.